Hey, I'm Tommy Colletti. I'm at the Music Zoo here in New York. You never know who's going to walk in here. I'm here with the.
I just happened to be walking by.
Just happened to be walking by.
In, yeah.
He was going down the block to Starbucks. So I'm a fan from back in the day. I figured we'd talk with George a little bit and, you know, revisit a little bit of the past, talk about what's going on now. Big fan of your playing. When did you start playing? How did it start for you? What got you into playing the guitar? Like, was it, you know, what rock star or guitar player?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm old enough and fortunate enough to have been growing up with guitar at a great time. You know, the Beatles were the first band I was really into, and I experienced Beatlemania, which was a pretty monumental experience, and it's hard to explain how that felt at that time.
Sure.
You know, in the '60s, but it was. It really took over the world. I mean, it was unbelievable. You know, the magnitude of it, the power. I mean, no other band has had, even Zeppelin has had that kind of power over people and their imaginations and the excitement that they brought to the world and what they started. And then after that, you know, it was Hendrix, Cream, you know, Beck, Zeppelin, all that. And, you know, I was right there, you know, with my high school band and my buddies, and, you know, we go to the music store and we get the first Zeppelin record, the first Hendrix record, and the first Cream record, and first Jeff Beck record. I mean, these are things that, you know, we brought them home and put the needle down. I mean, there was actual real records back then. That's all you could get. And our little turntables in our bedrooms, and we listen to this stuff and just, you know, just blow our minds and just wear these things out and play to them and try to be like that, emulate. These were our heroes, you know. And I don't think musicians have that today. You know,
now it's different. Yeah, it's different.
There's a lot of bands, amazing bands, obviously all wonderful, but I mean, this is when it all started. So, and I mean, in my opinion, anyways, I know everything. There's things that predated that, but it was pretty fascinating. You know, Woodstock and the whole hippie movement and all the bands in the '70s, and it was just I was fortunate enough to have all that to draw from. So that inspired me to start playing, and so, you know, I mean, starting out with Hendrix, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's inspiration. Yeah. So hearing Hendrix, sitting with the Hendrix records, you know, just
pretending I was in the band,
put the needle back
on my dad's old console stereo, and the only way I could get any kind of distortion was I didn't have an amp, so I'd plug into the headphone jack of this big GE console, reel-to-reel, AM, AFM, whatever, you know, the old '60s stereos, and that was my amp. But I'd plug into the headphone jack, and for some reason, it would amplify through the speakers, and I could play along with the records, and it would come out distorted.
Oh,
yeah.
No box or anything, just straight in. And
no, they didn't have boxes back then. My first box was a Jordan Boss Tone. I don't know if you even know what those are.
I don't know if I ever heard of those. Yeah.
I still have my original one, and it's a square, little tiny square thing with two little wheels on it for volume and tone, I guess, and it just plugs into your jack. And they were like $10 or something,
nice.
You know, which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
I'm sounding like an old man. Back then.
Back then, before distortion.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, you know, everything was an experiment. You know, there were no rules. Nobody had proven how to do anything yet. So how to get tone and how to write songs and how to be a band, we were just making it up as we went along.
As you went along.
As were all the other bands, which made it so interesting.
Yeah. And then as it fast forwarded, like late '70s, early '80s, I guess, LA scene. What was that about?
It wasn't quite that simple, but yeah, we had a band which was comprised of Mick Brown and a couple other guys, and we had a band called Sergeant Rocks. We were Glitter. We were into Kiss and all kinds of other stuff.
Right.
I used to wear makeup. And
New York Dolls kind of vibe, sort of.
I could show you a picture. I have them too. No, it wouldn't be very flattering. But I used to make my face up with like flames on it. We'd make our own outfits. Our moms would. You know, we go get these patterns, and I had, you know, the platform silver, but I'd spray paint them silver, and I had the lightning bolt on my shirt and the satin pants. And we had pyro, and we were super loud, and we were called Sergeant Rocks.
Nice.
And then that turned into the Boys, and then that turned into Exciter eventually. You know, some member changes and so forth. Exciter eventually became Dawkins. Yeah,
wow. So. And that scene at that time, I guess is this early '80s, late '70s?
This is mid.
By the time Don came along, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we paired up with Don right around '80, I think.
Okay.
I remember right.
And the scene at that time was just on fire, right? a lot of stuff going on. Can you tell that energy was there, or was it sort of like when you're in the middle of it, you don't really know it's happening?
Well, we were just trying to get gigs, and hopefully, you want to prove to the world that you're this, amazing band. And, it's funny when, young bands, they're just, you have it's so testosterone fueled, and you so believe in yourself, and you don't have anything, but you think that everything is achievable.
Right.
And you don't know that you could fail. That's not even an option. So
which is a good thing.
Yeah, you need that. And as you get older, you realize that you have to make some concessions and compromises and stuff.
Sure.
Well, hopefully not, but practical compromises.
Yeah.
But we're very fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a whole bunch of happy accidents. So all the things you try to do to get there sometimes don't really do anything for you, and then something will just blindside you, and something will happen that you never predicted.
Right.
And you'll get a shot.
Right.
And that's what happened with us.
Wow. As a guitar player, you evolve. So what sounds great to you in 1980 maybe sounds, you change your sound in 82, and then you change it again. As time goes on, are there elements or things that you change that you notice that you don't like as much that you did 10 years ago, let's say?
Well, I play cleaner than I did back then.
Right.
And I think I have better tone than I used to. That's subjective opinion of mine, but I'm always chasing that tone thing, and I love gear, so I'm a gear nut, so I'm always searching for that next distortion pedal or that next amp or that next pickup or whatever,
And,
it's a lot of work.
And you're building your own guitars, more importantly.
Yeah.
So tell me about that a little bit.
Well, I'm working with ESP, and I got my own shop and spray booth, and I've been building what we're calling Mr. Scary guitars. But the cool thing about these things is, I've learned a lot over the years, and I have a lot of friends who are builders and pickup winders and all this stuff. So I've learned from them, and little tricks, and I get a lot of help. But I'm actually taking these things and taking blanks and carving them out myself. This isn't made by somebody else, and I embellish it.
Right.
I start from scratch and I finish it.
Amazing. Cool.
And I'm telling you, these people are so happy when I get done with them.
Sure.
Let me put it this way: it's like giving up my children.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is it hard to part with them? You spend a certain amount of time with the guitar. And you said you're even winding pickups, and so
everything. I would just stress the metal, set the things on fire. I paint them, carve them out, heavily carved. Insert all the bones and all the things I do to wrap them in snakeskin. Do all the things I do to each guitar. Hand select the wood and shape the necks.
Right.
I do some stainless steel frets on some of them,
nice.
Depending if that's what the customer wants. But I can only make so many of them because they're very,
sure.
It's labor intensive.
Doing it on your time off, which is probably not too much time off
Yeah,
these days.
if I get a week window somewhere, I'll try to knock a couple out. And if I really apply myself, I can do that. It is a lot of work, but it's very rewarding, and it's sort of like it's very zen-like. You
Sure.
just sort of like forget about time and space and really get into it, and it's a lot like making music. Just constructing things out of parts.
That's great. That's great.
But everybody that's gotten them has been just overwhelmingly blown away with them. The playability and the tone is phenomenal, because I pick out beautiful tone woods like Carina wood, Black Limba, for instance, which Gibson doesn't use anymore because
really hard to get.
Well, no, it's
dangerous to work with. I heard too, right?
Dangerous to work with. It's like building a guitar out of asbestos, but it sounds better.
Right.
The fibers go in, but they don't come out, and you get mesothelioma.
Right.
So, really, so I got to wear a mask when I work with it. But it is, I believe, the best guitars.
Do you think that you would take it to a point where you're not mass production, but it's a team of people, or is this more like almost like sculpting art? Like, this is what I do as my passion, but I'm selling a few.
I'll always do
the
one-offs. I have not built myself one, which I regret, because every one that I built, especially the last few, have just been phenomenal, tone-wise and playability, beyond anything I've even ever played before. And I'm just like, oh man, well, I built it for someone else. They paid for it. I gotta get it to them,
Yeah.
And then it's almost like, can I rent that back from you? Wow. But they're pretty awesome. The testimonials are pretty humbling, and people are really
awesome.
They really cherish these things.